Welcome to Partnerships for Profit, the podcast where we bring you inside the world of joint ventures, strategic partnerships, and powerful collaborations. Each episode, you'll dive into conversations with top entrepreneurs, visionaries, and business leaders, unlocking the secrets to building profitable relationships that drive growth and success. Whether you're looking to expand your network, find new referral partners, or scale your business, you're in the right place. Let's get started.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dean West, and on this episode of Partnerships for Profits, we're diving into the legal strategy playbook with Alyssa Malchiodi, which I'm going to ask her to pronounce that correctly just in case in a second. She is the founder of Legal Doer, a virtual law firm for creatives, content creators, and entrepreneurs who'd rather not wait until it's too late to get protected. From walking away just steps from partner at a traditional law firm, she's launching her own modern legal platform. Alyssa's story is about alignment, freedom, and helping founders scale without fear. So whether you've got management team, thriving brand, or just launched your first digital product, this one is your contract compliance glow up. So let's get into it. Alyssa,
hello, Dean.
How are you?
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Like we were chatting right before, I jumped on your website, thelegaldoer.com. And there's just so much stuff of like just treasure. So my wife has been an influencer for a long time. So, and I've been in the film industry, so I'm somewhat familiar with a lot of different contracts, but you've got so much good stuff here.
Thank you. It's been a labor of love in a lot of ways, just because I know we were talking previously, and it's like legal is one of those things where it needs to be specific in order to be good. Right. And so it's like
one wrong word.
And every industry is different, right? Yeah. So it's like generic templates or generic legal advice doesn't necessarily apply to everyone. And so you do need like specific, right? So it's like you have your UGC creator contracts. Those are going to be totally different than your influencer contracts, just because you have different legal things to think about.
Yeah. Give me a quick backstory. Why?
Why?
Yeah, you were, like I said, word on the street is you were steps away from partner, and then you were like, you know what?
I was being kind of groomed to take over this law firm, and that was like my dream, right? I mean, you go to law school, I wanted to become partner or judge. And then it's kind of a tragic story, and I don't necessarily love sharing it, but it's an important story.
Yeah.
And so my dad, he was building his pool business. He had been building it for, like over 50 years. And he got into a terrible car accident that landed him in the hospital. And long and behold, his two employees that we trusted like family, while he was in the hospital, they took advantage of that situation and started poaching all of his clients. So by the time my dad was released from the hospital, he no longer really had a business because all those clients had been transferred to this new business. Wow. And it was a gut punch, not only because it's my dad, but because I'm a lawyer and I wasn't there to like have those legal protections in place. I had no idea how legally exposed he was. And without contracts and those protections in place, it was one of those things where there was nothing we could do, right? So that was a moment that shaped me. That was like, if even my own dad doesn't realize the legal vulnerability, then so many other people probably aren't realizing it too. And let's be honest, like our traditional law firm style is so outdated for online business owners too. And so it just kind of drove me to be like, okay, there's something for small business owners that they don't even realize these legal headaches. They have no idea. Let's prevent something like what happened with my dad blowing up, right? So COVID happened. My friends were starting online businesses, and I'm realizing, oh my gosh, this is going to happen to them too. Like they don't have privacy policies. They don't have contracts. They don't know what they're doing. The thing she just said could land her in an FTC complaint. Like there were all these things. I was like, I can take my 12 plus years of knowledge and experience and really get away from that law firm status where people it feels unapproachable, right? In a lot of ways, like lawyers can feel unapproachable. People don't even know where to start. And let's get into the online business and really helping people prevent these things from happening. So that was kind of the impetus to get me into the online space, which has been a wild ride because I had never envisioned creating a virtual law firm, but here we are. So I guess in a way I did become partner of my own law firm.
I mean, hey, you make your own hours. You do your own thing now. I mean,
Exactly.
it's really cool because, a lot of times I hear a lot of stories of, how people end up building the business they have. And majority of the time it's like, I saw a need or a niche and I knew that was where the money was. This is like I had my worst fear activated and I wanted to take care of my family, my friends, and see what I could do to make a dent in what was going on. That's really cool to me. Like, I think that's just a really great way to approach it.
And I think also one of the things is people like, oh, well, Alyssa's a lawyer. But now that I'm online and they're watching my stories and all this stuff, now they're like, oh, Alyssa, you actually do this stuff. Now they're coming to me and like, yes, that's exactly it. Like, let's get this stuff in place before it's a nightmare.
It's funny because it brings like a memory of mine because I've been an actor for a long time, and 15 years into it, some film popped on, a couple friends' radars or something. They're like, "Hey, you're on blah blah blah." I'm like,
"You're an actor."
Is that what did it? Wow. Glad the rest of my
they have to see you actually doing it for
it
to resonate.
for you. It's so approachable, of course, online. I don't hesitate to send a message to someone. And I feel like this generation as well, which is a lot of the people that are building some of these businesses, they're not used to going, "Oh, I can afford a lawyer."
Totally.
It's not here. You don't think about that. You don't know.
I know. I mean, at the law firm, I was billing $550 to about $650, sometimes $675 an hour. That's not reasonable for a lot of people.
No.
But when you have an experienced lawyer, that's what they can charge, right? And so I've purposely have not priced myself at that to try and make it somewhat accessible. But I think even that people don't realize, lawyers are expensive, but there's a reason for it. Yeah. Because $2,000 now is a lot different than $100,000 rebrand or the other things. I don't want to.
We're going to touch on some of those as well. So
other nightmares.
So obviously we figured out what got you into dealing in more of the spaces with creators and online businesses. What's a simple story you could give us of something that just someone didn't expect their business to go the way it did, and in a good way? We covered some of the bad, but what's in the good way of just like you've seen the growth that people are able to do, one with the confidence behind them of going, all right, I can share this everywhere because we're making digital products now. It's a course you spent hours on that someone can literally just
so cool.
Here's my course.
Yeah. So, and I have seen this, right? Where people come to me and I've seen there's like two people, right?
Yeah.
There's people who are all about like, let me get the LLC, let me get everything set up now before. And so they're willing to make that investment before anything happens. And then I have another pool of clients where they're like, okay, let me see if this works out. Like before I start investing, before I start doing anything, let me see if this works out. And then they pop off and then they're like, oh snap. I had my LLC, but my contracts kind of suck. Now I'm ready to like invest and do the dang thing. So what I have seen for both people is that legal really ends up being a mindset thing. So there's a lot of mindset work that goes into it. Because I feel like before you're almost having that like backdoor mentality open where you're just kind of seeing if it works, seeing if it doesn't. But I find when people get full on legal, so they have their business entity, they have their contracts, they own their brand, they come with so much more confidence and they're able to stand on business. So instead of having these like emotional episodes where someone like steals their digital product or someone says a DC may takedown request that like tries to get their stuff shut down, or someone is using a very similar brand name to them, anytime those happens, it could feel like a violation, right?
Yeah.
Like you're human, that's only natural. But then once you're able to overcome that, you're like, oh, but I have stuff in place. So I'm okay. It's going to be okay. Or like I have a lawyer to reach out to. And I feel like their businesses end up exploding even more because they're not fearful of holding back. Like you said, they're able to really promote themselves more because now they don't feel like an amateur. Now they're like, oh my gosh, I am a legit business, which can feel weird, right? Because we're online. It's different than being a brick and mortar business where it's like, oh, come into my storefront. Like your web page is your storefront. Yeah. And so when you have the policies in place, when you have your cookies set up correctly, you're not living with that like backdoor or like the fear over your shoulder, right? You have that peace of mind to take those risks. And so I've noticed just the confidence and the ability to really promote their business increases.
The ability to say, let me call my lawyer.
Exactly.
Which
like, I have a lawyer for that.
Yeah. I mean, again, coming from like my wife, where we've had to work our way through, you know, she was doing this 15 to 12, however many years ago this was, probably more. My time frame is horrible, but you know, we were figuring all these things out, and to have something like this, so much easier, because we're not lawyers. I'm really good at understanding legal, but that does not. I play one on TV. That doesn't cut it. You know, that just doesn't cut it.
Well, and unfortunately, like every brand deal is different, right? And so like, and every brand is different. So sometimes they have a legal department on the other side, and it's like, well, they're not writing the contract in favor of the influencer. They're hoping that you sign it as is. And so that's another thing, is like, people don't realize contracts are meant to be negotiated. Like, you don't have to have a contract in front of you and take it as is. It's supposed to be a mutual meeting of the minds. And so I feel like a lot of beginner creators or business owners are like, they're afraid to touch that when they are presented with a contract, when I'm like, no, like, that's the whole point, is to get it in place and to understand what you're agreeing to, because there are legal consequences or ramifications down the line if you didn't understand it. Yeah,
I think that the fear of not getting the job, you know, of like, well, I don't want to riff anything. I'd rather just go with what they said.
But if they're a legit brand, they're okay with it.
Yes.
Right. So I've helped a lot of creators on the other side, and they are fearful of that. They're like, oh, well, I don't want to lose it. I'm like, this is not asking for their firstborn. Like, they're asking for your firstborn. So like, let's cut the baby in half, not literally. But like, let's make sure that it's okay for both parties. And if they're not willing to do that, that's a red flag. And maybe you shouldn't accept that money, because now you're losing your rights to your face, or now they get to use AI to make a ton of money off of you. And so there are, and I totally get that. Like, it can feel overwhelming because you want to get that deal, or
especially when you're new.
Yeah, exactly.
Give me three good red flags that is kind of the standard of like, this is what most of the, for lack of better words, you know, lower end companies are going to try to get from you, you know, the perpetuities, those kind of things.
Oh yeah.
What are the three that people should at least look out for when they're kind of going through a contract?
So, I mean, you just said it right there. I mean, just do find and replace and look for perpetual. Because a lot of times what they're doing is they're disguising the license as a transfer of ownership. So perpetual isn't an ongoing like license. Perpetual is until the universe ends. So like, there's no coming back from that if you give a perpetual worldwide license. And so a lot of times that's not what you wanted as a creator. A lot of times, if maybe you transfer ownership, or you're thinking of just doing a license, that's something that can be revocable, or you can put conditions on it. So I would look for that. Go straight to the licensing, see what you're actually giving them, and see if you're giving them rights to your, it's called the right to publicity. So look for words like your voice, your image, and your likeness, and see if you are transferring that ownership over to them. So I had a creator that did this unknowingly, and now she's the spokesperson for this brand. And I'm like, dang it, because her brand has skyrocketed. And now she's like this like spokesperson for this brand because she didn't realize she signed that over. So another thing to look out for is the indemnification clause. And so this is going to be one of those things where you're like, as a creator, am I taking on the legal responsibilities of third-party lawsuits? And what is the caveat of that? So I always tell my creators, look for the verbiage after arising out of or related to, right? So like, are you going to take on third-party responsibility, which means you're going to be paying for their lawyer fees, you're going to be paying for any damages if they get sued over certain criteria. And you want to make sure you limit that to things that are within your control, right? So like, you don't want to take on product liability. You don't want to take on FTC false advertising if they're the ones posting it. Right. So just make sure it's within your field. So a lot of times that's copyright, don't take other people's words as your own. that's trademark. Make sure you don't have any logos or other brands in your thing. And if you do, you could do comparisons, but that's for a whole nother episode. And privacy violations, right? So like those are things within your control that you would potentially be like, okay, I can prevent those lawsuits from happening because those are in my control, versus let me push these other things onto the brand because that's in theirs. And then the other thing I would look for is termination. Make sure you can get out of the contract. I have seen people get stuck in a bad brand deal because they couldn't get out of it. So just make sure that there's the ability to get out of it and that you still get paid if they canceled the contract.
Give me kind of an overview for the website, because like I said, there's a ton of great stuff in there. Let's start with this one. If you had to, and I've got a screen over here, so I'm not looking into the ether. If you had to say, here's your best place to start, what would you say on the website?
Okay, well, it kind of depends on your niche.
Okay. Let's say this is something I'm actually working on. So let's say I'm building something that I'm going to sell, and it has a little course to go with it. Building something that they would actually purchase, but they'd have a little course that goes with it of how they could put it together themselves or that kind of thing.
Okay, so if you're selling a course, well, first of all, I would plug my community nonstop. That maybe would be your first stop.
Yeah.
Is joining my private community, because then that gives you access to me. So now you're able to ask me, a lawyer, questions about the setup, but also we're going to go through your business and we're going to fill in the legal gaps. So, and we're going to do that right away. So in the first week, we're going to talk about FTC compliance and making sure your advertising and your marketing is on point. And then we're going to get into your website. We're going to audit it. Do you have your policies? Do you have your disclaimers? Like, but specific to you and what you're selling.
Right.
And then we're going to look over your sales page. And then we can get into some of the like copyright, trademark, all that down the line. But that would be the first place I would start. That's like my new project of building that out, because I think that gives you access, right? And it gives you templates as well.
Yeah, that's huge.
Aside from that, if you're not ready to make that investment, the biggest thing is going to get to the contract template, right? So if you're selling an online product, you really need to make sure that you can overcome chargebacks and that you give licensing to you protect your course and your copyright. And that all comes down to the terms of purchase. So it really, like I said, it depends on your niche, because it's like, what contracts do you need? What support do you need? Do you need to start an LLC? And so there's a lot of DIY options available with the contract template shop, but then there's also the legal services portion available, where it's like,
you have like a ton of free resources as well in there. You have all kinds of good stuff in there.
Yeah, and so you can grab the legal checklist. So if you're just starting out and you're like, where the heck do I even start? That's it. Yeah. If you want to solely focus on the sales page, grab that.
Yeah.
And then it kind of goes from there. So it's like, okay, so, and this is how I kind of do with the legal, I call it like the legally aligned roadmap. So it's like, let's start out with the foundation. So do you want to be a sole prop or an LLC? Great. Either you're going to DIY that, or you're going to use my Start Your LLC package, right? And then now we're moving into our relationships. So we want to protect the relationships that we have with our customers, with our affiliates, with collaborators, with our clients. So if I'm a coach, I want to have an independent private one-on-one coaching contract, or I want to have a group coaching contract. If I have affiliates, I want to have an affiliate terms and conditions. If I'm selling my services or digital products online, I need terms of purchase that protects my IP and helps me with chargebacks and all of the legal liability. If I have a website, I need my website policies and my terms of use. And literally just, you have to think about all those relationships and how you need to protect all of them, right?
God.
And then you kind of move
a whole new version.
It's a whole thing. Yeah, you have to protect all of it. And then you kind of go into like your copyright and your trademarks, right? It's like, are you at the point where now you want to own your brand on the federal level? Are you at the point where your product, where you want to own the US copyright? Okay, well, then you go there. And so it's kind of like this sliding scale of like, okay, now that I'm growing, what are the things I need to know about, right? So it's like from beginner to scaling. And, there's options for all of it, because I deal with people who are just starting out, and I have 7-figure business owners also. So it's like,
Wow.
everything in between.
Yeah. Would you say it leans more to independence, or it leans more to like management companies, or, people that are already managing other influencers, or is it just kind of helpful depending on where you're at?
I've seen it from both sides. So I've
Okay.
had brands reach out to me that needed help hiring content creators. And I've seen it on the individual creator side, which is kind of like how I got started. So when I started doing online stuff,
Yeah.
I had, UGC creators. They were like, we don't have contracts. We don't know anything. And I was like, oh, I know all about contracts and licensing. Let me put something together. So I really infiltrated the UGC creator community with
That's
all
great.
that stuff. So that's kind of like where I started.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, so it all kind of comes down to what's your niche? What is it that you're providing? Is it services? Is it a digital product? Is it your content? And you kind of go from there.
Love it, man. Got to see if I can slide a few more in here real fast. So you talk about helping women specifically kind of, stop playing small, and obviously,
Yeah.
getting your legal stuff immediately gives you that I can go anywhere.
Yeah.
What would you say is the thing that makes it more focused towards the females in the group to kind of get on and get going? Besides obviously
So
being a female.
I know, right? I'm like, and I deal with men all the time too.
Sure.
So it's not like a gender thing, but it is kind of a mission of mine that
Yeah.
I think the world will become a better place when more women have money in their hands. And part of that is having female founders. So I have found that they're more maternal, even if they're not mothers, that they like to pay it forward. So in a way, I think that we can, I don't know, maybe this is too lofty of a goal, but with a lot of female
We're here to
founders,
dream. We're here
I
to
know,
dream.
right?
Let it roll.
They think about others, right? And so it's just, and I know that's a stereotype, but they hire other people into their business. They're more giving with their money. And I feel like that's like a slap to the patriarchy. Not against men. I'm not
None
anti-men,
taken.
just the patriarchy. That really gives them the freedom to do what they want, right? To live
Yeah.
life on their terms and to be able to, be at home if they want to. That gives them that freedom. And so that's kind of where my mission kind of went more towards
I
female
like it.
founders. But I have helped male founders as well. So that's nothing against men.
No, I like it. I like there's this, the old idea of I have another podcast that's more of kind of the spiritually world, and we always talk about, like, back in the day, it was always like, do you don't get paid for your gifts, you share your gifts, they're from God, so you should give that away. You ever notice the people making all the money were the ones telling you that?
Yeah, that's true.
Why don't the good people sharing their good stuff make some money so we can use that money for the good stuff?
Well,
That's how I
they
always
need their
think.
private jet. They need another private jet.
Yeah. It's always interesting to me. Let me see if I got one more before we can take off here. Let me give you one good one. If your business had to live off of one legal document only,
Oh, gosh.
which one and why?
Does it have to be a document or can it be my community?
I'm good with that.
I think it would be the community because I think after being in business for 2.5 years, that has just been it's been a culmination of my ability to teach and take out the fluff in a way and really get down to the how-to. So I think the community is the biggest one because not only does it give access to me, but also you get the templates, a lot of the templates that you need. And I really love that we hone in on your specific business for you to do those self audits. And so it's almost, instead of me charging you $5,000 to audit your business, I'm kind of like leading you along to be like, does this apply to you? Okay, this is how we're going to fix it without just being training, right?
Yeah.
And it's on the go. Like, I'm a business owner. I don't want to sit down and watch a million different slides on copyright. Screw that. I'm going to give you an auto training that's less than 10 minutes that you can listen to when you're unloading the dishwasher or walking your dog, that gives you exactly what you need to know and no more, so we can move on. So you can add those notices to your website, to this, and this, with a checklist. And so that's what I would pick.
I like that. Because it also, that's the way for you to learn too. Because the more you get to figure out what everyone needs and what they're getting more into, the better you get to develop and be able to offer those things.
Exactly. So I have my core founding members, and it's so interesting. Like, man, this is so serendipitous. They came to me with all these trademark questions, and I was like, Interestingly enough, that's what this week is about. So let me make sure I add these questions in there. And then also I'll tell you. And then it happened again this week. I was like, we're doing our LLC audit. If you're starting out or, you want to start out as a sole prop and transition to an LLC later, or if you're ready to start your LLC now, or if you already have an LLC, I got 3 tracks for you because I don't want you to waste your time listening to the sole proprietorship training and checklist if you already started your LLC. And so it's interesting because it's like all of a sudden they popped up with these LLC questions. I'm like, yeah, this week too. That's what we're doing. So I've been loving it.
Man, that's great. Because it's a good stack method too. If you've already here, you move on to the next, move on to the next, keep going.
Exactly. I get that we're all time crunchers, right? It's like we are our own business. We are our own boss, which is also exciting and also terrifying at the same time. Right. Yeah. So it's like, we're all trying to fit these things into our life as well. So like making it less complicated and more of like a get it done, move on.
Yeah. Alyssa, thank you so much for hanging out with me today.
Oh my gosh, it's been amazing. Thank you so much, Dave.
Before you go, one, outside of thelegaldoer.com, where else can they find you on social?
Okay, so Instagram at Legal Doer and YouTube at Legal Doer.
Perfect. Now, say your last name for me so I know.
You got it.
I nailed it?
You got it. Yeah. Right. It's Alyssa Malchiodi. And you can blame my husband. He is Italian, and it looks like Malchiodi. But in Italian, you pronounce it chi. And so it's, chi. Whoa.
Chi.
I was wrong. Malchiodi.
See, I'm even better than you. You tell him I nailed it.
I'm going to let him know because people butcher it all the time. So you did good.
All right. Well, thank you so much for hanging out, and we'll see everybody else on the next one.
Thanks for having me. Take care.
Yes, pleasure.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Partnerships for Profit. We hope you've gained valuable insights on how to form profitable partnerships and take your business to the next level. Be sure to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you listen to podcasts so you never miss an episode. Got a partnership story to share or someone you'd like to see featured on the show? Reach out to us. Until next time, keep building those partnerships for profit.